You know, I read a bunch of that stuff today and all this crap that they keep bringing up. I'm not going to it.
I remember she kept saying that. It was really low.
I have to go look at the paperwork. It's lower than it
Like,
was
one of them
lower
was-
than it has been. Because when they did the 16th road, they don't do a lot of water stuff.
We did lose the ball.
He's getting the,
Because like from what I'm gathering, it's pretty much the only reason why we're picking up fees is because it hasn't been picked up for many, many years. And we didn't have like a savings to get all of this, so that's why now we're gonna have to pay.
Jackie, you ready?
It hasn't been
But
saved.
what we
she's
pay
checking.
water, it's less than most people, especially in Washington.
I know, because I have like. Yeah, she pays.
So this is,
Like other friends.
this is for the water thing.
Yeah.
Comment? I don't know.
Compared to what we pay.
So I'm gonna read the
And I
name.
know that, I don't
It's like, yeah.
Still have to.
Then they're gonna.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Sunnyside City Council regular meeting for today, September 9, 2024. For the record, all members of council are here and all staff is here except for Fire Chief Halbrick, who has been excused by the manager. First item of business is invocation. Do we have someone here for the invocation? All right, I'd ask everybody, please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Join me in prayer. We come before you, Lord, with gratitude. We thank you for being a God of love who is with us now in this very room. You don't leave us or forsake us, and your grace has brought us safe thus far, and your grace will lead us home. We thank you for making each of us in this room, every person that we meet, every citizen of this city and every city, made in your own image, with dignity and infinite worth. We thank you for the calling that you have given every one of us to be good stewards of your creation, to love our neighbors as ourselves. And so we thank you tonight, God, for these, your servants, our mayor, our city manager, our city staff, all of our council members. We give thanks for the way of service that they have chosen to take up on behalf of all of us here in this city. We all come to this room tonight as complex human beings, carrying burdens, joys, hopes, and we trust that you alone can hold us together, O Lord, in your love and peace. Help us to trust you more. Help us to leave our fears, our pride, our burdens at the door, that we may lead this city in accordance to your will and not merely our own. Remind us, Lord, that those in authority are first and foremost your servants. Honoring you and doing your will is their highest purpose, that any portion of power that they enjoy is given by you and can be taken away by you. And so we pray, Lord, that you would be glorified tonight through the decisions of this city council. We pray that we would have the eyes to see how our lives are all connected and how our common good is upheld when we listen and we respond to those most vulnerable among us. We pray that your kingdom would come in Sunnyside as it is in heaven, through your power working in each of us and each of these, your servants. May your truth be revealed and may your light shine brighter. The voices of those most silenced be heard loud and clear. Defend their cause, God, through this governing body tonight. We pray for wisdom and for strength, the courage to do what is right and good for all citizens. May we put the interests of others above our own, and may we act with love for the good of everyone. May we be good neighbors, recognizing your image in every person here. And so again, Lord, we thank you for this city council, for our mayor, our city staff, our first responders, hospital staff, and all who work to make this place we call home such a wonderful city. May we continue to steward in accordance to your will. And we pray all of these things in the name of Jesus, whose perfect love sets us free from our fears. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated.
I'm flying.
First item on our agenda this evening is public comments. Before I go into public comments, I want to read something from the council rules of procedure as a result of some things that have been said in public comment. Instead of interrupting people, I wanted to say this at the beginning. Article 3, paragraph, or Article 8, paragraph 3, personal and slanderous remarks. Any person making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks, or who shall become boisterous while addressing the council, may be requested to leave the meeting and may be forthwith by the presiding officer barred from further audience before the council during that council meeting. I keep in mind that we're talking about human beings here. We're talking about people who are fallible human beings, and calling them out by name from the podium here is incorrect. It's just wrong. And so if you have a problem with somebody, you say, I have a problem with an individual. You don't need to name them. You don't need to attack them. It's just inappropriate to do so. So that being said, public comments. We don't necessarily respond to those public comments during the meeting, but we may send them for further examination, further study, or to a staff member to do some work. And so I have a list, and I'm assuming that not everybody understood that there's a public hearing this evening as well. And so we have everybody's name on one. So if you're not here to speak to just make public comment, but rather you'd like to speak at the public hearing, just let me know when I call your name, okay? First name on my list is Teresa Hancock. And please state your name and city of residence when you approach the microphone. Thank you.
Teresa Hancock, City of Sunnyside. I want to speak on both the public hearing and this. Today I want to talk to you guys about your council rules and procedures and your educational process through the Association of Washington Cities. It is hard being on council, especially when you're in a new council. But I do want you guys to really get through to the idea that all of you, all 7 of you are the same. There is not one that can remove things from agendas on their own after council's voted in, and there's not one that can take them off. So whatever way it goes, it should be that agenda is your 7 people's agenda, not any one person's agenda. I understand some of the logistics for putting the agenda together, like staff has input on it, and staff should have input on it. Their items are different than your legislative items. And I think that when it comes to your legislative items, that you guys are the ones that should control the budget. And I think you guys should go over council's rules and procedures some more and really understand them and make sure, because there's been some attempts to change them. And some mayors more than others have taken more towards the I am the mayor, I'm in charge, and some of them have been more, we're a group of 7. So I just want to encourage you guys to know, and I don't see anything in the RCWs or the council's rules of procedures that says you guys aren't in control, and you're in control of the vote, and you're in control over who's in the mayorship. So I just want to encourage you guys to be a body of 7. So
Thank you. Next name on my list is Cindy Rattray.
Hi, my name is Cindy Rattray. I live here in Sunnyside, and I'm here as a representative of the Lower Valley Pickleball Group. And first off, I just want to tell you guys, thank you so much. You have installed 2 beautiful nets out at the community center courts. We use them constantly. We have more and more and more people coming to play. They are really getting used. We get comments all the time about how good they are, how nice they are painted, how wonderful they are, and we really, really appreciate it. Secondly, I would like to say, because we have so many more new people and people playing all the time, the 2 nets we have will play 8 people at a time. Sometimes we've had as many as 25 people there, and so that's a lot of waiting time. What I would like to put before the city council, the Department of Rec, or whatever you do with it, is we as association would like to say, we will buy the net. It will be exactly, you tell us what net you bought, we will buy exactly what you got for us. And I'm assuming with insurance reasons, blah, 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 that the city would need to install them so that they are done properly and the way that you need to have them done. But I would hope that wouldn't cost much for the city over already having these people on payroll, that it wouldn't be a big cost to you, that we would be more than happy to raise that money and buy the nets if you would be willing to put it in. So I know you're not going to give me an answer today, but kick it around, see what you can do. Like I said, we've got like up to 25 or more people playing at a time, and it's really exploding out there, and everybody loves the nets. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I notice we're all taking notes, and so I'm sure he'll get on it first thing tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, the next name is Sandra Lindy.
I'm Sandra Lindy and my community is Sunnyside. Live on Maple Grove Road, but this is my town. First of all, I want to say I'm sorry my phone went off during your meeting. So I apologize for that. But the second thing I want to say is I want to congratulate our city manager for the good work he did on hiring Debbie Zabel. She has a wonderful reputation, and I'm glad that we're moving ahead so quickly. So thank you for doing that. And the third, I just loved what I just heard about the pickleball, and when they need some help fundraising for it, I will help. So I think that is good, giving our community more things to do. And then if we ever are able to do more with soccer, that's a good idea too. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Dave Rand is next.
Good evening, David Rand, Sunnyside, Washington. As you all know who I am, I'd like to congratulate Mike Gonzalez to becoming the new city manager. Multiple people in Pasco and the area I know spoke highly of you. When George talked to me one day in the store and told me that you were a candidate, I was like, wow, that'd be awesome. Hiring your new assistant here, financial director, awesome. For 12 years, I've complained at this podium about budgets and finances and revenue, and I've heard it all. But for $4 million, if my company was to rely on a sale of something, or I said to the bank, I got a job for $4 million, loan me this money, or do whatever, and it fell through, I'd be gone. And believe me, y'all might think that I'm a little joke contractor, but you guys don't know nothing, and I ain't never talked about it. Okay, I've been laughed at in this council. So if I have the mayor sit here and tell us that if we mention somebody's name, that's our First Amendment right and our personal opinion. Mr. Boersma has sat at this council and told us to go to other towns to buy everything from our cars to our marijuana to everything. We are hurting. We are in a major, major problem. And everybody thinks it's a joke. And we hire some new people to fix it. And the people that get put on the council get ridiculed because of who they are and what the race is. I'm sick and tired of listening to that in town. These are good people. Just like you are, Julia. What those people said about you and I listened to last week, I'm supposed to be at work. I'm losing $5,000 today for being here for this little rant for 45 more seconds. You've been my friend most of my life, and I'm appalled by what people in this audience said about you, but I don't agree with half of what you've done in the last 2 years. By saying that kicking it down the road and skeletons in the closet, I never thought of that. I never thought that our council would come to hiding things from the citizens and to say, let's just kick it down the road, send our citizens to other towns to buy stuff. When I passed out right here, you know what happened to me? I had a broken neck. 4 days later, they replaced my disc 3, 4, 5 and fused 5 and 6 together. I almost died. And you were one of the people that thought it was funny. So if you want to kick me out of this council, you kick me out. But you are the person that nobody likes anymore. Kick it down the road.
Thank you, Mr. Rand. Next name on the list is Britton Moore.
Good evening, everybody. Britton Moore, Sunnyside, Washington. I just want to touch base on RFPs and LTAC. George, I know, Deputy Mayor, I know you're on the LTAC board. Looking forward to you making sure things go smoothly. Several years ago, Sunnyside did not have an LTAC board or RFPs. A good friend of many of ours, Deb Estrada, who was our city clerk prior, created a RFP paperwork for people to fill out. It was modified by the past city manager and past finance director. So I wanted to pass on the original to Jackie so that she could have this available possibly at your next LTAC board meeting. To be able to look over it, compare it with the new one. RFPs have gotten a little lackadaisical in the past few years, not getting filled out properly, not having all the paperwork. I just want to encourage the board to maybe go back to the way things should be. If you can't fill out an RFP, get some help, or maybe you ought not be doing an event. It is time consuming, but it's important to do so that when events come around, things get done properly. So I just want to pass on this paperwork to Jackie so that that can go on to the LTAC board when you have your next meeting. There you go. Thank you so much. And that's it. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for your hard work.
All right, thank you. And the next name on my list is Jim Stevens.
Jim Stevens, Sunnyside. Lately I've noticed as we go through town that there's some campers out here at the gazebo. Times have changed. We've never really had that problem before, but they're gonna escalate. That's just where it's at today. And so possibly we can take a look at the ordinance so that we can finesse these ordinances if it's necessary, or utilize them in such a way so that we can make our town be more appealing. We have issues that as business owners here in town, we want to generate income. It's not just me, but other business owners downtown. And that's a real distraction. I noticed today that camper was out, going out and talking to people in their cars, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know about this particular person, but these folks are oftentimes either on drugs, they're psychotic, they can be dangerous. I was one in the doorwell of the Methodist church next to us. I got out at 7 o'clock in the morning, heard this talking, and went over there. He just kept on talking. He was drawing on pictures on the concrete. And it's unfortunate for them, and that's too bad. But they're also potentially very dangerous folks. And in there was a gal that goes there, and she's all by herself, Miss Mary, and that's a dangerous situation for her. Fortunately, I got there before she did. And also there's little kids in there. And so now we have a very potential dangerous situation, besides just the visibility of the gazebo, which is not a good visualization right in the center of our community. So if we could do that, and I would be more than happy to be supportive and do whatever I can do as a community member to help you out with it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And that's the last name, unless nobody's on the Zoom call wanting to talk.
Brittany Bima would like to provide comment.
Okay, the next person would be then Brittany Bima.
I've asked her to unmute, so she should be coming soon.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi there. Sorry I couldn't make it in person today. I am with a client right now doing a real estate showing, so sorry that I cannot be in attendance. But anyway, I just wanted to make a public comment regarding the homeless kind of camp that they're setting up there downtown in the gazebo and various other public spaces. I'm on the Economic Development Commission for the city of Sunnyside, and I'm approached by small business owners and local business owners a lot, basically, for their different concerns, help. I give them resources, and they come to me for a lot of problems. And just actually this morning, a business owner approached me that has a salon downtown Sunnyside. And she said that she's being harassed by one of the individuals, basically staring in the windows and I guess what she said, a creepy way. I'm not sure if it was reported or whatnot. I did encourage her to report it to the police, but yeah, basically they're creeping out her customers and just really kind of just harassing the customers in the area and making it, in her words, she feels it's unsafe for her kids to go to the gazebo and go hang out in those areas in the benches and stuff. So that's kind of unfortunate that her, kids can't go there while she works. And yeah, just as a concerned City of Sunnyside business owner myself, I've noticed a lot more activity. Had my planters destroyed, and yeah, just kind of some stuff. I hate to be a complainer, but yeah, here we are. And I would definitely like to make a point that, we have a lot of events going on downtown, especially with Sunshine Days coming up and the 3-on-3 basketball tournament coming up. There's going to be a lot of out-of-towners and vendors that are, honestly, if they see that, they're not going to want to come back to our area. So just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so this concludes public comments for regular meeting. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Consent agenda consists of the following: minutes, the minutes of the July 2024 study meeting, the minutes of the July 2024 regular meeting, the minutes of the July 2024 special meeting. Item B, payroll vouchers. Approve payroll vouchers numbers 119608 through 119625 and wire transfers as listed for $762,057.35 for the period ending August 26, 2024. Claim vouchers. Approve claim voucher numbers 110072 through 110073 and wire transfers as listed for $2,750 for the period ending on August 19, 2024. Approve claim voucher numbers 110074 through 110161 and wire transfers as listed for $288,874.41 for the period ending on August 23, 2024. And approve claim voucher numbers 110162 through 110190 and wire transfers as listed for $44,441.47 for the period ending on August 30, 2024. Council members, is there any item from the consent agenda you'd like to remove for discussion? Ms. Ripley? Yes.
181204005
Okay.
and 181207104.
Okay. Give the clerk a second to bring those up. One 181204005. Is the mouse not cooperating?
No, I don't think the search capabilities are active here.
Okay.
I get 181204005.
Correct.
Okay, let's scroll down. You know what page, Counselor Ripley?
Number is it? 1812. 181204005. They were both at the community center for desks. One for 944.30 and one for 895.81.
That,
Go ahead, Ro.
I think that's for the new rec coordinator that came on board at the beginning of August. So there wasn't one before, so they bought, they bought a desk for the new employee. I believe that's what that is. It's for a desk.
It was for 2 desks. And that's. Okay.
Office desk, okay.
Office desk. One for 944.30 and 895.81.
Okay, so her number is actually 110149.
Okay,
I have it there.
yeah, it's up there. Okay. So is there any information on this that we can get?
That's the only thing. I can check more on that, but I believe that's what it was, is the new coordinator that started at the beginning of August.
Okay, Ms. Ripley, would you like further information on that? We can pull this item until the next meeting and get, okay. Why don't we pull this item from the consent agenda for tonight? And we can vote on the rest of the consent agenda, but we can pull these 2 items and get some more information on that for our next meeting.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if I may, and obviously with the information that was revealed of the 4 million deficit, these were spending measures that more than likely took place before we knew that. So to give the council more comfort, I have asked directors to run things through me if they're larger purchases, and certainly wait till Ms. Zabel is on board before we do anything. I essentially put a rule in place. If it's a necessity, 500 and under, use your common sense. You know, if it's something that we need, but if it's 1,000 and over, run it through me. And then if it's something that could potentially be a capital purchase, hold off until we have a handle of what the budget is. And just, you know, for the public, for some context, we do have Profman in looking at our finances right now. So, and that's the approach I'm asking staff to take. Use your brains and, you know, don't make any large purchases. So just if it makes the council feel better, that we definitely are looking at future purchases. But it's a great question. Why would we be buying desks when we don't truly have a picture of our financial picture? So.
Right.
I think that's a wise choice, sir.
Yeah.
All right, so with those 2 items pulled for more information at the next meeting, what is the desire of council on this item?
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, we've got motion by Counselor Beeler, second by Counselor Hart to approve the consent agenda less these 2 items. Is there debate on this item? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. I also vote aye. Motion passes. Active agenda. All right, item A, Childhood Cancer Awareness Month proclamation. Approve a resolution proclaiming September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in the city of Sunnyside. Council debate or discussion on this item? Mr. Deputy Mayor.
I just want to thank the Gonzalez family for bringing it forward. I mean, I wasn't aware September was Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. I thought it was just November for, I believe, cancer awareness. But having 5 kids of my own, I couldn't imagine what it's like to go through this with someone with cancer as a child. So just thank you for bringing it forward and bringing awareness to the community.
Further comments? Ms. Vasquez.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you guys for showing up and thank you for bringing in this proclamation to bring awareness not only to what has happened with your family, but to our whole community. And I personally hold Hello and your family really close. And I've been praying, and every single time we've been there for you guys, just praying, and God is good and miracles do really happen. And you guys are a living testament of that, and your daughter as well. So thank you guys.
Further questions or comments? And I'd like to echo what my colleagues have said. Just a few hours after our most recent council meeting, I lost a friend to cancer. And to see success, to see you guys standing here before us this evening is very comforting. It's very good to see. It's encouraging. So thank you for taking the step and presenting this, bringing it forward to us and making us aware of what goes on. So if there's no other questions, what is the desire of council on this proclamation?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
All right, we have motion by Counselor Hart, second by Counselor Vasquez to approve a resolution proclaiming September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in the city of Sunnyside. Is there debate on this item? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. I also vote aye. Motion passes. Take this opportunity to sign and read the proclamation into the record. City of Sunnyside, Washington proclamation. Whereas each year approximately 15,000 children in the United States are diagnosed with cancer, making it the leading cause of death by disease in children, yet receives less than 4% of national cancer funding. And whereas September is recognized as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, dedicated to raising public awareness about the profound impact of childhood cancer on children and their families, and advocating for increased research and funding for improved treatments and cures. And whereas we honor the bravery and strength of children like Halal Gonzalez, who have faced the challenges of cancer treatment with courage, and recognize the resilience of siblings like Naomi and Calvary Gonzalez, who have also endured significant challenges throughout this journey. And whereas we acknowledge the vital role of community support in offering hope, resources, and awareness to childhood cancer patients, survivors, and their families, empowering them through their fight and recovery. And whereas the city of Sunnyside is dedicated to fostering greater awareness, understanding, and action in the fight against childhood cancer, and stands in solidarity with all families affected by this devastating disease. Now I therefore, Dean Broersma, as mayor of Sunnyside, Washington, do hereby proclaim September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month and call upon all citizens to join in the efforts to raise awareness, offer support, and contribute to the fight against childhood cancer. Testimony whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Sunnyside to be affixed, done at the city of Sunnyside this 9th day of September in the year 2024. And we have a copy for the Gonzalez family. And also, if you, I see you with the matching t-shirts, if you want to come up and take pictures, it's been our custom lately to take pictures with the families and those involved. So if you'd like to come forward and in front of the dais, you're certainly welcome to do so now. And council members, we may move forward up, get in the picture with them if we like. I don't know how we want to arrange council members. This is a fairly good group that's going to be up there, but
Why don't we just, why don't we,
we can stand on the dais behind them. That'd be fine. Yeah.
let's let them be in front.
I don't know if they can see me.
So would somebody like to hold the proclamation? That's it.
Sorry.
Chair over.
Can I get a handful of you guys to come over on this side, just to even it out?
Oh.
I should just sit down. Oh, is it? Hi, help me.
We like each other.
There you go. Mike, you getting in there?
You know.
Call you out, Mike.
Just always want to be.
Come on.
One more phone.
Sorry, he wants to go now.
One more kiddo.
One more is always better.
Yeah, more at the door.
Wow.
I'm sorry. Hoping that I can give that baby up pretty soon.
It's always been.
Now there's a little football here.
All right. Those are the fun things to do when you get to bring an entire family up and celebrate something really cool like that. Especially when she's there to cheer.
It's cool. Cool beans.
Give them a chance to step out. Move on to the next agenda item. All right, item B of the active agenda, Sunshine Days Proclamation. Approve a resolution proclaiming September 14 and 15, 2024 Sunshine Days in the city of Sunnyside. And council members, any questions or comments on this item? Mr. Deputy Mayor.
So I have some concerns as well as the public with the homeless being out there and the sunshine days upon us. I mean, I don't take my kids to Seattle because of the homelessness, right? I don't want them to see it. I don't want them around it. It's dangerous, drugs. And I just don't want Sunnyside to be that, but be like that, right? So is there any plans, Mr. Chief Lehman?
City manager.
So we can't prevent people from going to a public park. So if they go hang out at the public park, we can't prevent that. We can prevent camping. So once they've hit that they've been hanging out at the same location for 24 hours on the advice of our attorney, we can move them along. They were contacted today and told that at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning, they will be moved whether they want to or not. So that's been put into effect. Actually, Sergeant Tucker is the one that talked to him today, and at 5 a.m. before night shift goes home, their plans to move them.
All right,
So
thank you.
Mhm.
And Mr. Mayor, if I may, I just wanted to add some context. So a lot of folks may have heard of the grant pass decision recently. So this has had a lot of implications on the homeless policies. So the Supreme Court actually reached a 6-3 decision and what they know as a grants pass decision. So essentially this outlaws camping in public spaces. So, and the thing that I'm not clear on though, Ben, is there a 24-hour window that you have to give the homeless in order to vacate? Okay.
That's a lot of it, yes, I see. So are you able to speak in the microphone so the audience can hear? You probably may have turned it on.
They said it wasn't a violation of your Eighth Amendment right to be removed from public parks if you're camping. So if you already have rules in the book or ordinances on your books, which the city does for removal, then you can enact them and they're no longer violating someone's due process rights for doing so. So this is a violation of cruel and unusual punishments. That's what it said initially. That was revoked. So now what it says now is if you have an ordinance or if you have rules of procedure for removing homeless encampments, you can now do so under this. So if you're what the city does is it provides 24 hours notice before it does so, just as a courtesy to the folks involved in the situation, and then now can remove them.
And does this align with the sit and lie ordinance? I know in Pasco, in conjunction with this decision, they instituted the sit and lie sidewalk ordinances. So essentially, you can't hang out in front of businesses because we face that in Pasco quite a bit, where people would look in the windows or come into actual businesses and bother patrons.
If there's already an ordinance on the Sunnyside, or sorry, the Sunnyside books, then yes, it aligns with that as well. It's also, if you can articulate a public safety issue with that, then you can also enforce that as removal from city sidewalks.
Okay, yeah, and that's a good tool in the toolbox of the police department. You know, on the flip side of it, the counter argument is we don't have places for the homeless to go here in the city of Sunnyside, so that's another issue that we're facing. So it's certainly I received a number of calls about the camping in the gazebo today, and a lot of people saw that, and I actually just happened to take that route because I wanted to see, you know, what was going on this morning, and that's the first thing I noticed. And I know Chief received several calls about it, so I want the public to know we certainly are addressing it. But that is another tool in the toolbox. But the larger issue, we really need to figure out ultimately what is the game plan with the homeless, because we're gonna play a game of, okay, move here, they're gonna move somewhere else. Move here, they'll move somewhere else. And so ultimately, while it is a tool, it's not a solution. But I just, again, I wanted the public to know we're not ignoring it.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
if I may, I'd actually like to encourage my peers, instead of using the word homeless, to point out someone's identity. Rather, we should be using the word unsheltered. Homelessness is really a secondary effect, or something secondary that they are dealing with. So, you know, when we refer to someone as homeless, we're saying that is their entire identity, when that is not the case. It really is a symptom. And let me just also add that the homelessness situation is a pandemic that is happening across the country and across the globe. And if we don't want to see unsheltered folks, or then I don't know what to tell my peers other than to close your eyes, because it is happening everywhere. What I have sat here and done in the past is encouraged us to come up with a plan, because what Yakima has done or is doing is really just displacing, right? We're moving unsheltered and unhoused folks, and we're putting them somewhere else. And then we're thinking that that has remedied the problem, and it really has not. It is only going to create a bigger problem for us to tackle along the way, and that's what has been happening. So I see the county commissioner's wife is here present often. I would like to encourage her husband to come out and be present more often, and maybe figuring out what funds or monies that we have that can be allocated to fix the problem here in the community. If we are just going to move them, that is not going to eradicate the issue, ladies and gentlemen. It is only going to exacerbate it.
Thank you. And so just to bring us back into where we are, we're talking about authorizing a proclamation. And so we do need to stay on task, but we definitely will need to bring up how we are going to handle the questions that have been brought up this evening. It is something, as Ms. Frausto said, it is something that is true. It is happening nationwide. For all I know, it may be worldwide. I don't know, but it's certainly happening in this country. It's happening in the state of Washington. And there does need to be a solution. We do need to think about that. So, all right, but we do have a question before us of the proclamation for Sunshine Days. Is there any further comment on the proclamation?
Move to approve.
All right, we have a motion to approve the proclamation.
Second.
And second. All right, so a motion by Councilor Hart, second by Deputy Mayor to approve a resolution proclaiming September 14 through September 15, 2024 as Sunshine Days in the city of Sunnyside. Is there debate on this item?
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's not really a debate question, but more, I understood that unless it says in the proclamation, something about the parade, I've heard some rumors the parade might be held in the evening as opposed to during the day.
7 PM Saturday.
Really?
So 7 PM Saturday.
Cool.
Okay,
Thank you.
further debate?
That's all I wanted to know.
Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. I too vote aye. Motion passes. In this. All right, to read the proclamation. City of Sunnyside, Washington proclamation, whereas the city of Sunnyside has celebrated its annual event known as Sunshine Days since the early 1970s and wishes to commemorate the over 50 years that the event has been held in our community. And whereas we wish to honor and acknowledge those individuals without whom the event would not exist, including Mr. Dan Hamblett, a former Sunnyside business owner who is credited with naming the event, Mrs. Mary Lee Robinson, Mrs. Linda Egley, and the Honorable Don Hughes, former mayor of Sunnyside. And whereas the city of Sunnyside would like to thank those individuals and groups who will assist in the event this year, which includes A&A Promotions, 509 Insanity Basketball, Miss Sunnyside Court, the Sunnyside Police Department, Sunnyside Fire Department, and Public Works Department, as well as the countless volunteers for whom the city is forever grateful. Now I therefore, Dean Broersma, as mayor of Sunnyside, Washington, do hereby proclaim September 14 and 15, 2024 as Sunshine Days and encourage all citizens of our community to attend and participate in the events planned to include the Sunshine Days Parade, downtown vendors, 3-on-3 basketball tournament, and the Miss Sunnyside pageant. In testimony whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the city of Sunnyside to be affixed, done at the city of Sunnyside this 9th day of September in the year 2024. And I understand we've got A&A Promotions and folks from 509 Basketball here to receive a copy, correct? Come on up. Get all of these signed and you can take pictures with us as well. And council, do we want to go down in the front or do you want to do like we did the last time and stand?
I think this is fine.
You like it down there? Well, I'm gonna go down and hand them the proclamation, so.
Go ahead and hand in the proclamation. I think we just, because thankfully Amy's short. We don't have to. Yeah, it's okay. I think we could stay seated even, guys.
Oh,
Except,
Oh, you can move it.
Got her on a scan.
Move it.
Footstool.
City manager, I like the energy.
Saving it all up for Saturday.
Do you mind getting in the?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
He's gonna make you.
Thank you. I hope you have a wonderful turnout.
Yeah.
We'll be there.
Yep. Jackie, we get one of these for the city, right?
Yes.
Okay, so she only made 3 copies. We need
Okay. Okay. Oh, my gosh.
Open.
Oh, no.
That one? Yep, yep.
Hamlet instead of Dan.
All right, next item on the active agenda. Make sure I read all of this through, make sure I haven't missed anything. 2024 Water System Plan Public Hearing. This public hearing is being held to receive public comments and recommendations concerning submitting the 2024 Water System Plan. The concern is that this hearing be fair in form and substance as well as appearance. Council members, do any of you have a conflict of interest concerning this issue? Do any of you stand to gain or lose any financial benefit as a result of the outcome of this hearing? If your answer is yes, please speak now. Council members, can you hear and consider this in a fair and objective manner? If your answer is no, please speak now. Audience members, is there anyone in the audience who objects to my participation or any other council member's participation in these proceedings? If there are objections, please approach the microphone, state your name and city of residence, and state your objection. The time is now 7:16 p.m. And the public hearing is now open. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. So we present the 2024 Water System Plan tonight. Big thanks to Rob and Stephanie, who have worked extremely hard from HRO to work closely with Raul Sanchez and the public works staff. It obviously takes a lot of work to do this. So this plan is required to be updated every 10 years. It really gives us the framework of how we need to upgrade our water systems and prioritize what the capital expenditures are within the framework of this plan. So also addresses the water rate fee, and like everything else, it's going to cost a tremendous amount to upgrade the system. So we're asking the council to consider this plan and adopt the plan. However, I think Rob made this clear. Even when you pass this plan, there is flexibility within the plan to alter things if we think we can do things better. And as we know from an economic development lens, water systems are closely tied with economic development, so you can't have one without the other. So with that being said, I'll bring Rob back up to present the water plan.
Welcome back, Rob.
Thank you for having me. So if you could get the slides up. Thank you. So this is a presentation that we've had a couple times now to help the city understand where we're at and where we need to be going. As the city manager alluded to, so this is a plan that has to be updated every 10 years to be in good standing with Department of Health, as well as being eligible for public funding through the DWSRF, the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund Program. The first draft of this plan was submitted in November of 2023. After receiving comments back from Department of Health back in June, we have made the revisions and worked with Department of Health to address their comments on the plan, as well as get input from staff to make further adjustments. And we are now prepared to submit the plan on your behalf. Tonight, our hope would be that we would be given the authorization to do that on the city's behalf and take the city one step closer to having their updated plan.
All right. Any person in the audience, I'll let you have a seat at this point. Any person in the audience wishing to be heard on this matter, please approach the microphone, state your name and address, and offer your testimony. And I think I had one person indicate she wanted to speak, and that would be Ms. Hancock. Very well. Thank you, Mr. Rand.
So once again, I just want to tell you guys, Teresa Hancock, City of Sunnyside. I just want to tell you guys one more time that prior councils worked very hard on your council's rules and procedures. And one of the things we put in that wasn't there prior was your budgeting policies. And I think it would be very good for you guys to go over those budgeting policies, and maybe when you're doing this water study, rate study, and the budget, to have those on the wall, because it's unpredictable revenue should be used for one-time capital needs, not operating needs. And balanced budget is current revenues will be sufficient to support current expenditures. Revenue estimates will be realistic, and one-time revenues or debt financing will not be used for current operating expense. And then also it talks about the enterprise funds, which would be the water, sewer, garbage, and that those funds should pay for themselves, and that the rate should keep up with those costs. And I don't think they have. And it's going to be a pretty big shock when that first bill comes, when you guys have upped the rates on the garbage and the water and the sewer. And, you know, a lot of people are on fixed incomes. I know but it's what an enterprise fund is, and it has to keep up with the costs of supplying the product to the citizens. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Ms. Hancock. And then Mr. Rand.
As Mr. Galvin pointed out somewhere through the presentation, in one point it showed that it was like 22 million and something, and then another point it said that it was 47 million. And I understand all the maintenance and all of that, but I just kind of sat back and figured out, so if we went 20 years, and we started today, we're looking at roughly $6,443.27 to cover that from starting today until 20 years from now to do our maintenance. How are we going to do that? We already have bad wells. We got not enough water reservoir for future developments. We have the Catholic Diocese just came in last week and did a presentation to do, I believe they said 235 apartment units and then like 200 houses out by the intersection of Teresa Hancock's house. So I understand where she came from and talking about traffic flows and all of the different things that are going. But do we want to worry about water? And let's wait a sec. We have no sewer out there. And I believe 12 years ago, we had money for sewer and water to be put in there. And all that money disappeared. They got the water in, but they never got the sewer in. And I have asked over and over and over, where'd all that money go? So now that we got all this other money that's apparently misappropriated and misspent, I would like our new city manager to look into that and find out where that money went for our sewer system, where that money didn't go. Because since I have built my store that I got a legit building permit, I have been harassed by every entity in Sunnyside. And I say, keep it on, bring it on. You haven't gotten me yet in 12 years. Everything. I was building my building, not one, every time I came for a permit, they decided, I don't need an inspection. So now we have the guy from Grandview working for City of Sunnyside that came and did all my inspections. So what I'm kind of worried about is we have all this problem with our water now. I walked out of here 6 years ago when I fell and my wife got stage 4 cancer. And you guys all laughed at us and talked crap about my family. Now I get to stand here and say, look at the city now. 12 years ago, I got into the politics of this town and I was laughed at. I was ridiculed. And I was told by you, Mr. Mayor, and Mr. Restucci, you guys laughed at me in the parking lot when I said I will do everything in my power to make this city understand that you guys are not good for my town. The white mentality. And I have said that over and over. What are we going to do? $4 million in debt for this year. My calculations is 3.5 million a year to come up with a solution for water. Well, you put it on the backs of the city, of the citizens? Raise their water from $36 to $78 in 10 years? And I remember sitting back here in this council listening about how, oh, we can't afford that. We can't do this to our citizens, but every single time money needs because of misappropriated money being spent. You sit back and tell the people, go to a different town to buy everything. And believe me, over the weekend, I spent $26,000 on a sewing machine for my wife, a quilting machine I could have ordered online. But I found out that online, City of Sunnyside gets my money. I buy every one of my vehicles out of town, dude. I don't go to Sunnyside anymore, so Sunnyside don't get my money. How about 11 vehicles since you told me to go somewhere else for my company? All of this tax money. And we got a water problem now. So tell me my time is up, Dean.
Time is up.
Because you are one of the reasons why we're in this problem. And you can sit back and say, oh, I kicked it down the road. Well, that's how it is. We kicked it down the road. Now the city of Sunnyside is in trouble. Not you.
Thank you, Mr.
Your
Rand.
bank account don't matter.
All right, any more public comment on the water plan? All right, council members, questions or comments on this item? Mr. Galvin.
I saw you guys changed it, right? Where it said the city of Sila. Was that the only other one that you found?
Yeah, yes, that is the one page. After our last presentation, I went and found where that was, and that has been amended.
Okay.
Further questions or comments? All right, there being no additional comments from the public or council, let the record show that this public hearing is now closed and the time is not very good in military time.
7:26.
7:26, thank you. All right, council, the recommended resolution, what they're asking for is not the one that was originally, it needed to be amended. The resolution to send or to authorize staff to submit the 2024 water system plan to the Department of Health. Remember I mentioned earlier that it's an extra step that got overlooked, and so it has to be submitted to the Department of Health. Hopefully that'll come back in November and that'll be recommended for approval. So what is the desire of council on this item?
Move to approve the resolution.
I'll second.
All right, so we got Councilor Hart made the motion, seconded by Deputy Mayor to authorize staff to submit the 2024 water system plan to the Department of Health. Is there debate on this item? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. I also vote aye. Motion passes. Thank you. All right, the next item. Council, we discussed this briefly in the study session. We can do this now or later, a discussion. I'd like to bring back for reconsideration an item that was voted on at our last regular council meeting involving dismissal of mayor, deputy mayor from office. Originally, it was intended for public hearing today. And in the way that it was done this last time, there was no council discussion whatsoever on that vote, and I would like to give council an opportunity to discuss that and get maybe feedback from staff or whatever. And so I'd like to make a motion to reconsider the item, and I do not have the ordinance number. Madam Clerk, do you have that?
It's SMC 2.08.080.
Okay, thank you. So I'd like to make a motion to bring back SMC 208.080 for reconsideration.
A second.
All right. We got a motion by myself, Mayor, second by Julia Hart. Debate on the item? Yes, Ms. Hart.
One of the things that I think the reason we need to reconsider this is because this whole ordinance was not taken through the proper channels to be brought before the council. We have a vetting process for when we have ordinances. goes through the rules committee, goes through various vetting to make sure that we are doing the ordinance according to form, approved by our city attorney, and none of that was done with this particular ordinance as far as we're aware. There are some things that in there that to me do not.
Discuss this before the vote or?
Oh, I thought we were doing.
No, we have to vote yet.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what
I'm
I was saying.
sorry.
We're starting to
Excuse me.
discuss and debate before we vote.
I got excited there on the debate portion of it.
All right, very well.
I'll start over then.
All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. And two vote aye, the motion passes. All right, so the reason I brought this back for discussion was, as Ms. Hart was alluding to, I also felt that we were missing a couple of steps in all of this. This is an ordinance. It's a change in the city code, a change in the law, yet it was brought to us as a suspension of the rules. It was not brought to us as a part of the agenda. And what the result of that was is council didn't have the opportunity to prepare. And so I believe the public has the right to expect that we come to meetings prepared. And we did not have the opportunity to do that. Secondly, because of the way that it was presented, the proposed ordinance, the resolution was read into the record, and immediately the motion was made, not allowing for discussion or questions to be asked. Because the way that it is done is after the proposal is presented, before a motion is made, there's allowed time for questions and comments. This is time that council can question staff, can clarify points, whatever they need to do. Then when the motion is made, there's time for debate. And at that point, the question was called immediately, which cut off debate before it could happen. I would like council to have the opportunity to discuss, debate, and clarify points on this. There is a possibility of action on this. We could decide to change this. We could decide to leave it the same. We could decide to repeal it. That's up to council at this point. That is the purpose of the part in council's rules and procedures 2, paragraph 10, that allows for reconsideration. And that is what we're going to do this evening. So council members, if you have questions or comments on this, now is the time to voice those. Mr. Deputy Mayor.
So Councilor Hart says that it wasn't taken to the rules committee. Does it say that we have to take it to the rules committee?
We have, yes, we do. We have a mechanism in place where council rules can be amended. So, council rules and procedure does not have in its current form a process for removing a mayor or deputy mayor. And that was recognized by the presentation of that ordinance. It was read in. And so we do have a mechanism for amending those rules. Council has chosen the rules committee as the subcommittee to have jurisdiction over the rules and procedure and the ability to make amendments. And so that can be done. And interestingly enough, several years ago, the Rules Committee was working on this very item among others, and we do have a proposal that can be brought forward. Why it was not originally brought forward, I don't know, but it does exist. I have a copy of it and can make sure that the Rules Committee can get that if we send this to the Rules Committee for discussion, and it can be part of the rules. Part of my problem with this is that all of council actions are defined in our rules of procedure. Except now we want to have an ordinance that stands by itself to remove the mayor, where there's something that could be done and I believe should be done in the rules. And we have a system, I think, that is proposed that is actually cleaner than the action that was proposed in the ordinance. Mr. Austo.
So actually, there is no legal requirement for us to take this to the Rules Committee. It's just, the Rules Committee is an advisory committee. It has no legal teeth to this. So we aren't legally required to take this back to the committee that is actually made up of you, Mr. Mayor, Councilor Hart, and Deputy Mayor Galvan. And those questions were answered by council. Along the way, and I have heard that one person who was previously on council has a problem with the way that this was written. So I want to address the crowd, and because I brought this resolution forward to introduce this ordinance. So I want to let you all know that I do everything in my power to make sure that I'm not jeopardizing myself or council when I am putting forth any resolution or an ordinance to be considered or adopted. So what I do is that I refer to counsel, Mr. Ben Riley, to answer any questions, clarify any blurred lines before it is even submitted into the agenda. Now, I know that I'm still speaking, Councilor Hart. I know that at the discretion of the mayor, per Robert's Rules of Order, he has the right to add or remove an agenda item, but it doesn't take away the power of the majority of the council because this is a democracy and nobody has a throne on this bench. No one, not one single person, is able to come together and formulate a more democratized process and cast a majority vote, which you also casted a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Mayor, and I quote you saying this is a good thing for the community. We can go back to YouTube and to verify. My input for now, and I'd like, if there is more discussion, I'd like to hear what my peers have to say, because I do believe in democracy and I do believe in conversation. So I will sit here and listen to everybody's opinion on this because it is warranted.
Okay, further comment from council members? Ms. Hart.
One of the things that I think is lost is the fact that when you present an ordinance, it needs to go through the proper procedures. I do not believe that this particular ordinance recommendation was gone through the proper procedures. Was it approved to form? Was it, were we given an opportunity to see it on the agenda? We were not given an opportunity to see it on the agenda. It was merely brought up during comments from council, suspension of rules, which is probably a way of doing it, but I just felt like that I don't think that it was handled properly. I don't think that there's a problem with having it as part of our rules and procedures. I just feel like we need to go through the proper methods, the proper procedures to have it done.
Thank you, Ms. Hart. Other comments? Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, if you remember about a month ago, I voiced my concern to you about the rules and procedures. We started talking about editing and amending back in January, and we're in September and we haven't completed that. I've heard you say time after time that this takes time, this is a long process, but that's why we were voted into these seats, to make these decisions, to take the time out of our busy lives and to make it happen. I just can't believe that since January we've been talking about changing the rules and procedures, and it hasn't happened. And now I feel that anything that we send to rules and procedures, it's pretty much a way to make it go away. Because we never come back and discuss, or we finish what we're supposed to be finishing in the rules and procedures.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Further comments? All right, so I want to share some of my concerns with this. By the way, I am in favor of there being a mechanism, excuse me, for removing a mayor or deputy mayor if that becomes necessary. I just don't believe that it should be done as an ordinance. I believe it should be part of the rules and procedures. You're right, there is no state law that requires that this go as a part of our council rules and procedures. It can be an ordinance. It just seems as if everything else that governs the actions of council is in the council rules and procedures, and it should be consistent throughout as opposed to having a standalone ordinance for one thing. I have talked with former mayors, former council members, and mayors in other cities. They've reached out to me, which I'm very grateful for. I've come to find out just how many people watch Sunnyside City Council meetings and from other cities. And so I'm grateful for the input. They have been brutally honest with me, and some of them telling me I should have shut down this conversation long before I even got to a vote at the last meeting. Others had different solutions, but I did have one person say, so never once did I encounter a member trying to modify the law to attack another member. So I found that somewhat telling. But again, I'm in favor of there being a mechanism to remove a mayor. I think that is a good idea. I think this particular ordinance is cumbersome. I also have a problem with some of the hyperbole that's in there. I mean, nowhere in RCW, I think anywhere in state law, city law is the term to strip somebody of their authority, of their position. I don't think that type of terminology belongs in the law. Also, there are incorrect citations in there. And this is brought to my attention by others. It's not just my research. It refers to dereliction of duty. However, the RCW does not support the claim. The law says the mayor shall have no regular administrative duties. If the law says there's no administrative duties, how can the mayor be in dereliction of duty? Our city rules say that the mayor is to work with the manager's office and the clerk's office to make sure the agenda runs smoothly. Again, you'd have a hard time to support that if the mayor is showing up and chairing meetings. So there's got to be a better way to do it, a more smooth way to do it. Again, recognizing that I might be setting up the pathway for my own removal here, I still believe that we have to have an efficient way to go about and do this. And I feel if we pass an ordinance, that ordinance was I feel like it was passed with, it was written with my picture on the wall, maybe my effigy burning in the background. I don't know, but I think if we're going to do this, then we need to do it in the most efficient way possible. So that's what I'm looking at. So that's why I call it for reconsideration. I would like, Ms. Frausto, yes, thank you. I would like to change that and send it to the Rules Committee. The Rules Committee will meet and we will discuss it. I think it is something that can be done in very short order. Ms. Frausto.
This ordinance was written, and I said this before, and it's on record, to create systems that will hold leadership accountable. That doesn't currently exist. And because it doesn't currently exist, I believe, and majority of council believed a couple weeks ago, that we should push this forward for consideration and then adoption. I didn't write this to attack. I'm using your word, Mr. Mayor, to attack you. It was to hold you accountable. That's the difference. Accountable to the fact that we are now $4 million in the deficit and our community knew nothing. Accountable to the fact that we are $4 million down in the hole and going through those YouTube videos because I did my homework as other council members and deputy mayor, you can chime in, have done so as well. And it didn't seem clear to me that the previous council knew exactly what was going on. But you sat here, Mr. Mayor, a few weeks ago during the Saturday hearing, and you said, I knew exactly what was going on, but we decided to kick this down the road. We decided to kick this can down the road. Well, let me tell you, when we are dealing with the budget, which is a document that is legally binded, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, and I know that you have gotten input from and from former deputy mayors, but I hope that you have also gotten input from the subject matter expert, Mr. Ben Riley, who is a city attorney and gets paid the big bucks to make sure that we are in compliance. I hope that you have gone to him. So I'm not here to attack you. I am here to hold leadership that has failed their community accountable for their lack of transparency. And when we all take an oath of office, we say that we are going to uphold the state laws and municipality laws to the best of our ability. You did it, the dereliction of duty, you failed to be transparent, you failed to communicate to this council, and I'm not saying it, it is on record because you sat there in that seat and you made it known. So it is not an attack, so please do not put words into my mouth, and for once, take accountability for your own actions.
Thank you, Ms. Frausto. Ms. Hart.
The matter before us is that this needs to go back to Rules Committee. It needs to go through the proper channels. It needs to go through and be thoroughly vetted. There has been a lot of back and forth, and I do believe that there has been a lot of personal attacks. One of the things I think, and I thank Ms. Hancock for pointing out that there are policies and procedures and codes of ethic that each one of us as a council member swear to uphold. Now, to take and demean or to deface or slander another person is really not within our code of ethics. So I would hope that people would take that under consideration. But one of the things that I think that was also within that vote of no confidence that was held, it said that there had been a deficient attributed to overspending, unaccounted expense, improper budgets during Mayor Dean Boersma's administration. Let me remind you, we are a council of the whole. So every time a ordinance or a need to spend money comes before this council, the council as a whole is responsible, not just one person. It is the council as a whole. So the mayor signs for us in the purely, what was the word that was being tossed around? Symbolic position, signs for the council as a whole. That does not make that person responsible for any misjudgment by the council as a whole. So we're all responsible. And the council previous to this council is responsible. I know some of them were in here in the audience tonight. So there's a lot of blame that can go around. It's not all on one person's back. And I think that's wherein lies quite a bit of misunderstanding. But I would certainly hope that we could put this back to the Rules Committee and go through the proper channels.
Thank you, Ms. Hart. I think it's really easy in a discussion like this to get off track. The only thing that I want to talk about with this ordinance is the fact that I think we can do it more efficiently. An ordinance, if council ever wishes to change it in the future, requires public hearings and several different other layers of work, whereas changing and amending the rules of procedure takes a council vote. And so we can keep that in agreement with the situation, with the times that we're in, if rules ever change. I think it's a more efficient way to go. I am not talking about defending myself in this particular conversation. It is not about me. I'm talking about creating a more efficient system. And I think that the ordinance can be improved upon. I think it should go to the Rules Committee. We can set up a meeting this evening for a time when we can meet, or we can do that via email and discuss when we can meet. I am in favor of there being a mechanism in place for removing a sitting mayor or a deputy mayor. Okay? I'm not arguing that as a valuable thing. Yes, I said at the last meeting, I think this is a good thing to have in place, but I think we can do a better job. Okay, Ms. Ripley, is your hand up or is it?
Yeah, I don't agree that it needs to go back to the rules and procedures.
Okay, so I'm going to make another motion if there's no other comments. And that motion is to repeal the ordinance and send it to the Rules Committee to bring back in the month of October for a final vote from council.
I'll second that.
Just debate on this item. Yeah, just taking some notes. Give me a second. All right.
Can you read out exactly what we're?
My motion is to repeal the ordinance voted on at our last meeting and then assign it to Rules Committee to bring back to council a recommendation in November.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
point of clarification for procedure, was it an ordinance enacted last?
The ordinance was voted upon. Do we?
A notice for voting on it was provided, but it wasn't enacted.
No.
Correct.
So what are you repealing?
Are we repealing the vote then or retracting the vote? What is the proper terminology for that?
You can't repeal an ordinance that hasn't been passed yet.
Okay.
So there's nothing to repeal at this point. There was a vote of no confidence.
Correct. We're not talking about that at all. We're talking about the vote on the ordinance.
So the ordinance hasn't been voted on or approved yet at this point.
Okay, so what are we doing then? Vacating the vote or?
Well, it's not on the agenda anymore in this situation. So there's nothing to vote on at this point going forward.
Mr. Riley? So can I motion to suspend the rules?
That's up to you.
Okay, well, I motion to suspend the rules.
I object.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, but we also have an objection. I was looking at under council rules. One of this thing has done is certainly got me looking at the council rules of procedure. Under paragraph 10 or item 10, suspension of rules. Any provision of these rules not governed by the Sunnyside Municipal Code or state law may be temporarily suspended by a vote of a majority plus one. So therefore that, if there's an objection, that definitely leads to a vote. So we have a motion to suspend the rules. Debate on that?
I object to the suspension of the rules.
Okay, so that will lead us to a vote. All right, that requires a majority of 5 in order to pass this motion. Okay, so all in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
No.
I vote no also. We have what, 3 abstainers? You vote in favor of the motion, sir, to suspend the rules? Okay.
I to suspend.
All right, motion to suspend the rules is passed. Ms. Frausto?
And I'd like to make a motion to bring forth this ordinance for adoption.
I second it.
Mayor, did I miss the vote on the first motion?
There wasn't a vote. We had a question by legal. That we are still hanging on that vote to. All right, I have let things get out of order and I apologize for that. We have a motion ahead of us to. We're just still working on terminology here. So what's that best terminology going to be?
I apologize. So there was a motion to repeal, but there wasn't an enactment of the ordinance, so there's nothing to repeal.
Can't do anything.
So essentially the motion would be to send it to Rules Committee?
If that's what you want to make, but there's a motion right now to
Suspend.
Right, but this one came before it. So that's, I guess, what the question is. To suspend the rule, supersede that one? I've not been in this situation before, so this is all new
I
to me.
understand. So your initial motion was to repeal, but now you're saying it's ascended to.
I'm trying to clarify it
Yes.
with you, sir.
Yeah, so that would, if you want to clarify your original motion first, you can. So if you mean to send it to a rules committee, that's your motion. That needs to be clarified, but that has to be voted on first.
Okay, so Ms. Hart, if you don't mind me changing the motion to send the desire to change the rules to the Rules Committee. Send this item to the Rules Committee. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, then I amend my motion to send this question to the Rules Committee, that of the amendment of the rules to be able to remove the mayor from office if they'd like to. Okay,
Point of order.
Ms. Frausto?
Are we able to do that?
It was an existing motion that's being amended, and it was prior to you.
No, but his initial motion was to repeal. And then that went away.
There was no vote on that.
Vote.
There was no vote on it.
So it can be amended.
I
prior
can amend my motion.
on this.
Okay. So the motion is now to send this to the Rules Committee to present to council in October. A recommendation.
We need a second on that?
Okay, do you okay on the second on that?
Second.
All right, just debate on this item. All right, all in favor of sending it to the Rules Committee, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no?
No.
No.
I'll do I.
Okay, I'm gonna ask for a voice vote, I'm sorry.
And vote.
Or now I'm gonna ask for a voice vote. Mr. Beeler?
Aye.
Ms. Vasquez?
I.
Ms. Ripley?
No.
Ms. Frausto?
No.
Mr. Galvan?
No.
Ms. Hart?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. All right, so in this case, 3-4, motion carries. So this will be sent to the Rules Committee for investigation for bringing a recommendation back to council in October. We'll set a deadline on that. We will get it done, Mr. Galvan. All right?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
what's the procedures to allow Ms. Fausto to take my place in the Rules Committee?
That's a good question, sir.
I would like her to be there.
You have a,
Remove myself and appoint Ms.
okay, the
Fausto.
Rules Committee is established as the mayor, the deputy mayor, and one member of council. So imagine if Ms. Hart is okay with that, we could have Ms. Frausto as a member?
No.
You're not okay with that? Okay. Mr. Galvan, I can assure you that we will work diligently on this and we will work honestly on this. There will be a procedure that is presented. We've already got something in place that simply needs to be approved. I think it's pretty good work. The committee can amend it or adjust it a little bit, but I believe that we will take this seriously. I will take this seriously anyway. Ms.
I will
Frausto.
as well.
Mr. Riley, is there a conflict of interest for a sitting deputy mayor and a sitting actual mayor to vote on an ordinance that has to do with removing or stripping of the title of a mayor or a deputy mayor? Would that be a personal interest, a conflict of interest?
Not, because you're not specifically targeting an individual in this situation, it's not quite a conflict.
He thinks it is, he stated it.
That doesn't,
So here's what I would tell you is I think because the mayor and the deputy mayor are gonna be potentially affected by this, it would be better if they weren't involved with the vote on that for conflicts. But it's not required that they step down in this situation. So to avoid conflicts, it would be better if they did not participate in the structure of this rule, since they are sitting members of as mayor and deputy mayor, but there's no requirement that they recuse themselves for that.
It's on the basis of integrity if they have any.
If it makes any difference, here's what I'm going to propose to Rules Committee to propose to council, okay? This is what's in the proposed change already. It says, all right, I find myself. So would allow for the investigation into claims with a protracted or over multiple meetings process to allow all parties, including the city council members, the mayor, and the public to weigh in. Okay, so the current ordinance does not allow for due process, and that's what part of my problem is. And so this will allow everybody to weigh in, to have a discussion, to defend themselves if they need to. Again, it will allow, it's like RCW governs elections in the state, including recall elections. Our rules should allow for an investigation into the claims with a protracted process to allow all parties, including city council members, the mayor, and the public to weigh in. This makes removing the mayor not impossible, but difficult, which it should be. Okay, removing a seated officer should not be easy. Okay, we have to remember that we don't appoint or select a mayor, we elect a mayor every 2 years pursuant to state law. That's not something we get to decide. The process is called reconstituting the council. So.
Point of order.
Yes.
Mr. Riley, Mr. Mayor mentioned due process. There's actually a line in here that says if a vote to remove the mayor, deputy mayor is successful, the officer has 48 hours to respond to the vote. Isn't that considered due process?
Side situation and make a recommendation to you, and then you can vote on that as part of the ordinance going forward. I'm not trying to cop out on this. I'm just telling you that that's how this works. And so unfortunately, that's what the Rules Committee is supposed to decide in this situation, is if that's the due process allowed for that. Doesn't mean take the language out. It means it stays in there if you want. And understand too, that this is an advisory situation. And so if the city council doesn't like what comes back from the Rules Committee and wants to vote on the same form you have now, you have the ability to do that going forward. The advisory committee's job is to make sure all the language in your proposed ordinance is legal and follows constitutional requirements for the state of Washington, as well as the United States. And so the idea is they review that for procedural accuracy, which is what they're supposed to do.
And isn't due process also the fact that if adopted, this gets a public hearing, we have to wait 5 days for after adoption to allow for public hearing. Isn't that also considered due process?
Under RCW 35A 13-190, any ordinance that's adopted is not enacted until 5 days after publication.
Okay.
After
So,
publication.
Yes, so after the signing of that, then it's enacted, and the 5 days is for determination at that point on the back end to make sure there's no procedural irregularities with the vote as well as constitutional issues as far as the ordinance and affecting civil rights.
One last question. If it is gonna go back to the Rules Committee, I would appreciate if there was council a part of that discussion
Would be 100% in favor of that.
and not former deputy mayors being a part of a discussion or pulling of some strings.
Excuse me?
I did not ask any mayors to advise.
You
me.
just mentioned that you got a whole bunch of,
I've got all kinds of
yeah,
feedback.
from former mayors and deputy mayors and
I
council
got a lot
members.
of feedback, but I did not.
I would love for council, subject matter expert to be in the room when this conversation is happening.
100%. So we will confer with Mr. Riley and set an appropriate date for that, and we will meet all together. All right.
Make myself available, that's fine.
Mayor, if I may, just timeline for the city manager to work on this. I know the rules committee, I'm getting familiar with it. Does it meet at a set time? Can we fast track this? How do we want to work this is really my question, like in terms of timeline.
The rules committee is made up of the mayor, deputy mayor, and one council member. In this case, it's Ms. Hart. We will set up a time. We don't have a regular meeting.
Okay.
We have a meeting as needed. And so we can set up a time this evening after the meeting to set that meeting up. And it has to be, in my mind, it needs to be before the next council meeting.
Okay.
So that we can hopefully have something to bring back to council to discuss and then move on from there.
Sounds good. Thank you.
I'm available Friday.
I
Next
have-
Friday.
I need to look at my calendar. I know I'm fairly scheduled up with work, but I will definitely find time.
So I have a question.
Ms. Hart.
Inasmuch as this ordinance is not an ordinance at this point,
Correct.
it's a proposal, correct? So I would think, now this, maybe I'm thinking wrongly, it's possible, that the vote of no confidence is null and void.
The vote of no confidence was symbolic.
It has no legal effect.
It has no.
It has no legal
No.
standing.
But it was made on the record as a resolution from what I understand.
It was made as, it was a resolution, a symbolic resolution expressing a vote of no confidence. But there was no mechanism for, so it's not.
Nothing needed. to be
No,
done because of-
there are certain municipalities, I'm not even sure they're in Washington, I know there's in Oregon where you can't take votes of confidence in order to remove the mayor from a city council, but there's nothing existing in Washington state that I'm aware of that.
Okay.
For that. And there's nothing in the SMC that allows for that.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right.
I have,
So we had a motion to suspend the rules. Do we have to continue on with that? Is that the next step?
Yes, but it's now moot because it's been sent to Rules Committee at this. point.
Okay, so that has been stopped. Okay, just want to make sure I'm not.
well,
That motion would be tabled until after it comes back from.
Okay, very good. This is, again, not a situation I've encountered before, and so I'm trying to make sure that things flow properly.
Point of clarification.
Mr. Austin?
Is there, I remember that I had a conversation with you, Mr. Mayor, and actually former city manager, that I won't state their name because it seems according to the news, they have a problem with it. Point of personal privilege.
Carry on, Ms. Frost.
No, I'm tired of being interrupted when I'm speaking, and y'all have began that since the day that we first sat foot in this chamber. No, point of privilege, point of personal privilege, point of order. I have the floor. I am tired of being interrupted. Okay, 9 months in to us taking our seats, y'all have been the most patronizing and most condescending colleagues that I have had to date. When I have the floor and I am making a point, I will do just that. I don't go out and interrupt both of you. So please don't interrupt me.
Ms. Kraus.
So, point of order. So there was, is there an SMC that states that, and I'm just trying to clarify if I would have been allowed before getting interrupted. Is there an SMC that states that, the mayor shall not sit on any, on a subcommittee or a rules committee?
No, there's not.
Okay. That's all I wanted clarification on. Easy as that.
Well, all right, next item on the agenda, upcoming council meetings. Madam City Clerk. I'm sorry, no, I skipped. We're up here, up items from council members. I'm sorry, I took so many notes, it took over my entire paper. Mayor's appointments for boards and commissions. We have not received anything new, have we?
Received one from Tom Dolan. He submitted his resume. And then I believe Teresa Hancock submitted her application, which you should have received directly from the website. No? Oh, that was submitted by Deputy Mayor to my desk. I think the only thing we're missing is her OPMA certificate. There was one that came in that you should have all received in your inbox. And I can't remember the name right now.
I don't remember a new one.
I remember seeing that.
Okay. Very good. So if anybody else wants to serve on boards and commissions, please get your applications in. We'd be happy to take a look at those and make some recommendations, and perhaps we can do that at the same Rules Committee meeting. All right, next item, other reports, announcements, and or questions by council. Mr. Beeler.
I'm just getting ready for sunshine days.
Okay, very good.
The report.
Nothing to report.
Okay, Ms. Ripley?
I just wanted to say I had a few calls about the homeless people. What'd you say we should call them?
Unsheltered.
Unsheltered. Okay, the unsheltered people. Sorry. And I'm glad we talked about it tonight. And another thing is, how far out is the city limits on Midvale Road? Anybody know?
It depends, I guess, on what you're asking about. The police department.
Asking about the speeders that go out on Midvale. I am constantly there. They pass you in the middle lane.
So we do cover most of that road. The port is its own entity, but we provide the police services there. A lot of the stuff on the other side of the street is in the county, but most of the street is ours.
So the speeders are yours?
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to.
I like that comment.
Can you parole out there?
We can try. Right now, we have 3 people on a shift to cover the entire city. So we can, in their free time, if they have some, try and get them out there. Yes.
Thanks.
Ms. Fausto.
All I'm going to say is that I'm going to address my community. Once again, I do it all the time. Oh, thought I was going to be interrupted. Oh, that's a new one. I'm not interrupted this time. So, all I'm going to say is I'm going to address the community and I will let y'all know that we're done. We're done kicking the can down the road. We're done. Okay, and I actually wore a shirt to commemorate that because we're done kicking the can down the road and we're about to take accountability. And we're going to change the chapter now. We're going to move our community towards healing and towards repair. And if people here on this bench or people in the community are not going to be with us, then step aside because people that are actually going to do the work are going to move ahead.
Please, no applause. No applause, please. Not a conversation. Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, so Public Safety Subcommittee met last week. We talked about the fireworks. And after the meeting, I had asked the RCW, the one that says we need to wait a year if we want to change it. But I looked at the RCW, and according to this, and I asked Mr. Riley, and your question to me was if there was any permits issued for next year, which I asked Corey. There wasn't. There's no permits for next year. So technically, if we want to change the ordinance, we could do so, but it has to match the state rules which say only the 4th of July from 11 a.m. to midnight. And we do not have to wait 1 year.
So yes, you can as an amendment to that if you want to do that, but as there's no permits at this point, it's not going to jeopardize anyone. If you were to do that. But you need to do this.
Before what's the mic, please?
Sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry, you have to do this before permits are issued to someone. If they do take advantage of that, which they can at any point, then you have to wait till the sunset clause for this, which is going to be next year.
But right now, there's no permits that were sold and everything's closed, so they can't even buy a permit right now. So technically, if we bring it to vote, and I believe Jackie has it on the future agenda item, just depending on recommendations from the Public Safety Committee.
You did a notice of public comment as well.
Okay. All right. So yeah, pretty much we don't have to wait a year to change it as long as we change it to the state rules, which is just the 4th of July from 11 a.m. to midnight.
Yes.
That's how we get work done.
And that's it.
All right, thanks, sir. Ms. Hart.
I have nothing to contribute. Thank you.
All right, well, I want to thank Mr. Galvan for that report. The public safety meeting I thought was very productive. I want to thank Chief Lehman for his contributions, as well as Fire Chief Halbrick for their contributions on that. In attempting to solve one problem, we ended up creating another problem with the 4th of July fireworks this year, and we're trying to amend that and continue to be responsive to the needs of the public. So thank you for the work, gentlemen, in doing all of that and everybody who was involved. And thank you, Mr. Galvan, for being able to stay a little longer than I was that day and be able to do that research and come up with that information, because that's certainly going to make things better for next year. All right. As previously mentioned, I've had conversations with other elected officials, and apparently I've got very thick skin. Apparently it's because my dad was a mechanic and I had to hold the flashlight for him, and once in a while I bring the wrong tool. And those of you who grew up in that situation know what that's like. You receive a great deal of impatience. Things don't bother me. And I taught high school for 12 years. And so I have very thick skin because I was told by other council members that things that have been said about me by other council members in meetings is very derogatory and questioning my motivations, questioning my actions. Our council code of conduct says the following: make no personal comments about other council members. It is acceptable to publicly disagree about an issue, but it is unacceptable to make derogatory comments about other council members, their opinions, and their actions. Honesty and respect for the dignity of each individual should be reflected in every word and action taken by council members. It is a serious and continuous responsibility. I hadn't been terribly bothered by that, but I was told by one currently sitting mayor that I should be. And then I received an email addressed to all of council, bringing my wife into the question, by somebody who was not present in a conversation, complaining about a conversation and accusing my wife of something that even my children found absolutely horribly ridiculous. Accusing my wife of swearing at somebody with my kids, and your kids are the ones who know, have never heard their mom swear. And then today I opened my email and I saw a comment that was also rude. I will be speaking with an attorney on Wednesday, and then I have a decision to make. But I would like to put council on notice, whoever is necessary, that I will not tolerate any more of these kinds of comments. These comments from up here, your comments as in public emails, this is on a city email server. This is inappropriate, and I will not tolerate it.
What about my wife?
Mr. Rand, you are not offering, you don't have the floor. Okay? We are elected officials and we have to behave with decorum. We have to treat each other with respect. We can disagree. But to treat each other rudely, no. All right, next item, upcoming council meetings now, Madam City Clerk.
I have the fireworks for the study session on September 23rd. Other than that, nothing else. Unless the Public Safety Subcommittee is not ready, I will just leave it there. October 7th is a special budget workshop. Once Debbie Zabel comes into the office, we can confirm that that date still works for her after she's looked at the numbers. Other than that, it's just regular items, budget items, and items waiting on HLA and Public Works.
All right, and we've decided that the deadline for submitting items for the agenda is what? Monday?
Yes,
Monday before the meeting. So we'll keep that in mind. All right, Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. So, speaking of Debbie Zabel, she is with us tonight, and as was reported, she'll join us as our new Deputy City Manager and Finance Director. So really excited about that. For those that don't know Ms. Zabel, she has a rich history in the Yakima Valley, spending a decade at the City of Toppenish as Finance Director and City Manager. So certainly excited about the future of Sunnyside with her by my side and, you know, working for the community. I think Debbie is exactly what we need at this moment. She comes with a lot of experience. She comes with trust. She comes with transparency and working with the public in the most ethical fashion. So I just feel so lucky that we were able to get her to come to Sunnyside and really help us right this ship. So with that being said, I wanted to give her a few minutes to introduce herself and address the council and say hi to the public. Debbie?
Ms. Zabel.
Well, thank you very much. Again, my name is Debbie Zabel, and I am really excited. And I saw the assigned to change, and my name went on there. And so it's like, it's for real now. I have assignments that I need to get done. I do love budget. I had a former council member refer to me as a budget nerd, and I'm great with that. I'm honored with that. I may bore you to death with budget information, and I'm so looking forward to meeting with you and answering questions that you have, all of you, on rates and fees and how we get to where we're at. I know we have a tough road ahead of us. But I'm here to help the city manager and to help you and give you all the information that you need to make some good decisions. You have some hard decisions coming up, and I want you to be able to make very informed decisions. And I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I will give you the truth and tell you what the consequences are of all the actions that you have and any decisions that you make. So I have been in local government for almost 40 years. And I enjoy and believe in local government. We are here to provide services to the community that they can't provide themselves. That's why we exist. And so to be able to provide excellent services and not break the bank for people is what our goal is. So again, I have a complete open door. You can call me, you can stop by, and we can go over anything with the budget, anything, invoices that you have a question about. So please feel free to do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. And council, I'll pass on Debbie's contact info to you guys via email and her cell phone. So if you'd like to reach out with her, and she'll start officially next Monday. So we'll get her going, and I can tell you that Debbie and I align, you know, on transparency, and she runs a tight ship, but you know, she's really works on behalf of the citizens. So I feel so fortunate once again to have her on our team. So thank you for doing it. And I really appreciate it, because you're really only as good as the people around you. And I certainly like to surround myself with good people. So thank you. A few other things, Mr. Mayor and council, certainly are working with our police staff on the unsheltered in the city of Sunnyside. So did get a few calls about the folks that were in the gazebo downtown. And so we're definitely going to use the tools that are in our tool bag, but I also believe in compassion. You know, this is a hot button issue, certainly. You know, and I do have a heart for the unsheltered, because it's, you know, we often, even through the economic development lens, it's like, put them somewhere and just put them over there. But, you know, it's such a complex issue with drugs and mental illness. So, I mean, it certainly is going to take a comprehensive plan. So I think that's something that we certainly have to do. Some good news to report is we have hired an economic development director, and that individual has accepted the position. We're going to put an announcement out in the next couple of days. So I think he's going to tell his employer, was supposed to tell him today or tomorrow. So I want to give him that opportunity, and then, you know, we'll splash it out to the public. And but really excited about this individual, and I think that's another step and really getting our economic development department moving in the right direction. Another thing that we're working really hard on, GMP has been in, Prothman has been in looking at our books. Marie Mosley has been looking at our books, the former city manager of Kennewick. So she has been given access to our files and going through Excel spreadsheets. So I want to thank Dennis Knight, our IT manager, who's just been really integral in providing that data to her and just, you know, working really hard. So I can't thank Dennis enough for just all his hard work and just really making this happen, because we have a tremendous amount of work to do in order to get our books in some organized fashion. So appreciate Prothman and everything our IT manager is doing along with Marie. ADA sidewalk project continues, and I think for the most part, we've received one complaint. I know the timing with school wasn't ideal, but thank you, Raul, for running point on that. I know there's been some inconvenience with the public, but for the most part, I think the contractor's done a good job of sticking to their word. So that's about it, though. You know, a lot of things going on, and we continue to work hard. So just want to thank staff for all their support.
All right, thank you, sir. Council members, any question for the manager? All right, hearing none, and there not being anything else to come before council, and if there's no objection, this meeting is adjourned at 8:21.
Worst people in this town.
Thank you, Mr. Rand.
What people say about you, why don't you listen to what you said about my wife and my family?
I've never said anything about your wife and family.
Engage.
Terrifying, Dean.
Don't engage.
I've never said.
I'll help these people you brought in for their attorney bill.